Hi friends and new friends, I'm Christopher Carruthers, also known as Tao Satoshi. Anyone who's been in the crypto industry for a while knows about tribalism. Investors tend to get emotionally attached to whatever project they're invested in and shut out others. There are some there who remain open-minded though and engage in relationships with many different coins and tokens. Today I have the pleasure of talking with one of ththose people. She's known as Nicole, or NrdGrl007. Stay tuned for that on this episode of Cash Alternative TV. So what is Cash Alternative TV, other than that catchy jingle? Well, it's a show about cryptocurrency with a focus on Dash, which aims to be a digital cash for the world, or an alternative to cash. If that's something that interests you, you want to learn more about Dash, or just want to hang out with me some more, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss an episode. Now on to the topic of today's show. Nicole is a cryptocurrency enthusiast, social media presence, and journalist, and we have the pleasure of talking to her now. Welcome to the show, Nicole. It's great to have you here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so for the people on my show that don't know who you are, which is quite a lot because my show has basically people that are into Dash. Hex is something new to this channel. I've just been introducing it in the last little while. Can you give yourself a brief introduction and how you got into cryptocurrency?
Sure, yeah. So I got into crypto. My name is Nicole. On Twitter, it's NrdGrl007 with no vowels. That's across social media. I got into cryptocurrency because someone who I was dating was really, really into it. And I started learning about it from him and I thought that it sounded cool. And then I wanted to be able to contribute something to the conversation at some point. So I learned some things about it on my own. And the more that I learned about it on my own, the more that I realized that not only was it a great opportunity to increase my personal wealth, but that it was also this amazing sociological experiment, like this amazing sociological study that nobody else was really doing at that time. And I had dropped out of a PhD program a few years prior. So it was like, I don't know, it kind of felt like it was like this, I don't know. So I went to my university and I kind of outlined a plan for studying the different groups. Even though it's a completely unofficial university plan, I just kind of took it to my old chair and he's like, nobody's going to get this kind of thing except for you because you're the one who sees it. But like, if you've got a plan, do it, So so after I invested everything that I had and everything that I could convince other people to, I started to try to think of ways that I could contribute to the industry. And then I realized that I could write because I'm a journalist and a writer. So I applied for some crypto media jobs and I got one of them with a company that's no longer around. And I started, actually the first story that I worked on the first big story that I worked on was related to the anti-Craig Wright and BSV tribalism. So that's where I got interested in cryptocurrency with Ethereum, but professionally, I kind of started with BSV.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that's interesting. So tell me a little bit about BSV and what's it's doing. Like, I know Craig Wright is kind of persona non grata in the crypto sphere, but I'm always interested in hearing about other cryptocurrencies. So what exactly is Bitcoin SV's like motive of operation? Like, why is it there? What is it trying to do?
So essentially, they say that, Bitcoin Craig says, because he's Satoshi, right? He says that Bitcoin was always meant to function kind of like Ethereum does as a payments and as, digital peer-to-peer cash, peer-to-peer digital cash, but also to have everything built on top of it the way that Ethereum, kind of works, but on a stable, unchanging platform. So, he says that the increasing of the block size, the constant increasing of the block size is essential for that component, and that's why there only needs to be one token. So I haven't followed it very closely in a while, and I know that there's been changes and all kinds of, things have come up. I don't want to present myself as any kind of expert because I was studying the community, the BSV community, and not necessarily everything that's going on with the tech. But I do think that they have a point on companies potentially wanting something that's stable, where, Ethereum is constantly changing and evolving. That said, more companies build on Ethereum, so there must be some reason for that. I just kind of watch and try to maintain relationships with everyone to keep lines of communication open.
Yeah, you know what? I think there's a big, technology is a big part of cryptocurrency, but it's also very much as it's a technological experiment, it's also a social experiment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm the same way as you. I'm not very high on the technological side. Like, I'm good with people and I can interview people. I can introduce myself and say hi and learn things about cryptocurrency. But when it comes to technology and the nuts and bolts and the code, like, I'm lost. So I'm what's known in the Dash community as a dummy. Mm-hmm. So but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, cause it's just because you don't know code doesn't mean you can't participate in these things. And there's lots of people like you and I that are just there for that aspect of trying to change the world technologically, but also change it socially and stuff like that, right? So I think you and I are on the same level when it comes to that. So what have you been doing since the BSV days?
It's never like I'm working on one thing and just that one thing. So kind of, studied BSV community and did some, interviewed Craig and Calvin, did a little bit of talk, a little bit of writing about that. And then, and then I had to go back to writing kind of just like regular mundane daily articles about whatever. And then that company ended up not surviving. I was doing some solo media for a while, trying to trying to do things a little bit differently, trying to have communication doors open between different groups. I've spent some time, with the Bitcoin Cash community. I've obviously spent some time with Bitcoin Core, even though they completely disavow me. I have spent a lot of time, and most of my personal investment is within Ethereum or the Ethereum, ecosystem. I've hung out with XRP crew, just trying to get an understanding for what's going on socially so that I can, write what I want to write from my education, academic background. Okay. I do think that there are ties with game theory. That's how I got interested in HEX, was that, towards the very beginning, everyone was attacking the project, and immediately I'm like, oh, this is the next, this is the next group that's going to experience this really, really harsh tribalism. And if I can get involved with that group early, maybe I can tell them, hey, these are some of the mistakes, not mistakes, but these are some common characteristics of groups that end up this way. So if you know them, there's some emotional preparedness, I think. And it's really difficult because nobody ever wants to listen to me. People just think that I make this stuff up and that I don't have, an understanding of, kind of these larger patterns that happen with humans, not as a critical of them, just this is what happens.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's how I got involved with HEX. And in terms of investing in a project that is kind of one that I'm just looking at because of, tribalism, I've never actually put even a significant chunk of my total holdings towards something except for HEX.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. We'll have to talk about HEX a little bit more later on in the show. Mm-hmm. But first, I want to talk a little bit, since we're on that subject of tribalism. I'm the same way. I think you have a lot more exposure to different coins than I do, though, because I will still consider myself mainly attached to Dash because I believe in what it's doing and what it has to offer in the future. But recently, I've been spreading out into the Ethereum network a little bit, and I've heard Richard's talks about HEX, and I've got interested in it. And now I've done a couple of videos. I just released one this morning, in fact. And I think that I really respect you for that, actually going out there and looking at all the cryptocurrencies. So why do you think that tribalism is probably holding back the cryptocurrency industry right now?
I think that it looks really bad from the outside. In the last year, I've had multiple people tell me that, oh, cryptocurrency, isn't that some kind of cult, and reference, behaviors of crypto people on Twitter, on YouTube, various places, across social media, Reddit, and then more recently, I've had a few people just who are no coiners in the last week say, like, yeah, it sounds good, but isn't this really cultish? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. The behavior is cultish. And I've had people specifically say, is Hex the worst? Is Hex the worst one? I said, I can see why you think that, but if you'd gotten involved with cryptocurrency a year ago, you would think something different. And if you'd gotten involved a year before that, you would think something completely different. It's just like, these coins go under attack, and then the communities kind of respond this way, and it always ends up looking like this. So it actually really is important to look at the tech, and that's something that not everybody has the skills to do, and it's one of the reasons why Hex having those 3 audits was a pretty big deal to me, because I can't read a smart contract. Right. And, that is something I suppose I could teach myself to do, but, it's not like specifically well suited to the skills that I already have.
Okay, so you got involved in Hex. Like you say, you directed a lot of your finances into it, so that's good. I have quite a chunk in Hex as well. But you've done some contributions to the community, right? Like you appeared on the Hex conference, and you've done like a write-up of like trying to dumbing down the Hex contract for people. So yeah, can you explain a little bit about those 2 things that you've done for Hex? Okay.
All right, yeah, so I rewrote. So someone wrote the layman's guide to Hex, and his name is Kyle Barr. And it's really important that he gets the credit for really going through and writing out everything. But the way that he wrote it was the layman's guide to Hex. And he wrote it before the AA was closed and before Big Payday. So there are a lot of features of the smart contract that were no longer relevant, that were just really confusing and unnecessary. So I kind of rewrote it and took some things out and added some commentary. But Kyle Barr definitely gets the credit for writing the layman's guide to Hex. I just edited it. Okay. And I added a couple of things, but the real difficult work was his. Then, of course, I made a Hex TikTok at one point, and I gave that Hex talk. I've had, was one of the first people to have the Hex community on a show that wasn't Hex-centric.
Yeah. So Hex is known as the first blockchain certificate of deposit, right? Can you give us a little bit of a description about Hex from your point of view?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. So it's the first high yield blockchain CD. You can hold liquid coins, which you then trade or cash out when they increase or decrease in value, or you can stake your Hex so that it's earning more Hex while it's staked. So the value of your Hex may be going down, but that's, all cryptocurrencies fluctuate. And since I'm really not a trader, I want my coins to be earning something while they're sitting there, right? So I have some coins just kind of on Nexo, not in collateralized loans, because I don't take collateralized loans, but they're there earning passive interest, and they're earning 5% per year, compounded daily, which, isn't nothing, but whatever. Hex is earning a much, much higher APY, but you do have to lock in. So the longer that you lock in, the higher your interest is. So like my 15-year stakes are earning much higher interest than my stakes that are 3 months long.
Right. It's kind of interesting with Hex because I've seen a lot of people that say, oh, it's a scam and it's a get rich quick scheme and a Ponzi. And then somebody on Twitter had a good reply to that. They said, well, how can it be a get rich quick scheme when the people that position themselves last in line, like the longest away, get the best results? Like it really doesn't make any sense. Like, so that argument is kind of blown out of the water because it really does monetize time, doesn't it?
Yeah, so people really have this thing about like calling anything that they don't understand a scam. And yeah, that's kind of, and of course, people don't like, a lot of people don't like Richard. So there's that too. And they don't like that he holds, a massive, 50% of the supply or, whatever it is.
Right. So yeah, that whole thing goes in a circle though, right? Because you got fiat guys like Peter Schiff, he says Bitcoin's a scam. And then you got Bitcoin saying Ethereum's a scam. And then you got Bitcoin Cash guys saying Dash is a scam and Pivx is a scam. It just goes down the line. And then the ones at the bottom say, oh, fiat's a scam. So it's like a full circle.
Yeah, it is.
It's really funny. But yeah, so people like you and I, we're kind of open-minded. Like we're willing to do our research on things and due diligence, because not everyone out there is a scam. Of course, you got to be careful. If you're watching this, there are a lot of scams out there, but there are also a lot of legitimate projects, and you have to do your research on it. So you wouldn't say that Hex is really a coin that you would use for spending, right? What do you use, like when you're going to take your Hex value out? What do you spend it on? Like, what do you use? What currency do you use for spending right now?
Mostly for spending, I still use USD. I spend as little as I possibly can. So, I'm like, yeah, one of those people who's like, should I eat dinner? Or, yeah. So, and have been like that for a while, but so yeah, for spending, I don't really use, but I do know that Dash has real utility. I mean, one thing is Joel Valenzuela is like, I wouldn't have been able to make it these last years living on cryptocurrency if it wasn't for Dash. Of course, I used to live in Arizona, so I have been to some of the old Dash meetups from when Evan was still around.
Oh wow, okay. You and I are gonna have to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. I was just asking you maybe if you use Bitcoin or Ethereum for payments, and we'll discuss why that's a no-no and the new up and comer that's coming up right now.
Yeah,
Dash, obviously.
So yeah, mostly I've used Bitcoin for payments. I've used Ethereum for payments, but for the most part, no. Most part, I would say that both of them are store of value, and then of course I've used Ether as gas.
Yep. So
and then in terms of Hex being transacted in, I guess you can. There are things that you can buy in Hex. I've been paid in Hex, so it's not like impossible to transact in it. It's just not what its function is.
Mm-hmm. So people like me, and I guess some people that I've been talking to, like Kinetics and the Hexologists and Crypto Coffee, the people in the Hex community, they're starting to see the value in a union, not a union, but like a way for people in Hex to go into Dash and to spend. So like if you want to save your money, you save it in Hex. If you want to spend, you spend it in Dash. And this is something that currently is not very easy to do, because I think it's a centralized exchanges like Changelly that offer a pair like that, and just for like little amounts. But if we could start like an actual bridge, like a DEX, for example, between Hex and Dash, that would be perfect. So I think there's people out there that are working on that right now. And why are they working on that? Because Hex, we all know, is great for saving. I have a lot of Hex in long-term deposits, but it's not really that good for spending. And Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're very slow and they have high fees. So it's not really something you want to go and buy a coffee with. You're going to pay like 10 times more than the coffee's worth in your fees, right? So Dash, that obviously has a lower payment, right? So we're actually decreed by the network to have a lower payment, and we're incentivized to have a lower payment. But the problem with Dash is that we need to get our PR out there. Like, a lot of people don't know about Dash. but our community is kind of older and more mature. We're not out there like going on social media and trying to promote it. There's a few of us that do, and it's starting to get a little bit better. But as of right now, it's not.
Yeah, no, that's something I've heard you say. So yeah, I actually have a couple questions for you. So there's one is, have you looked into, have you reached out to Richard and kind of asked what his thoughts are on the potential of partnering, or have you asked him to come on your show? And then, so that's really the only person who I could think of who's like an official representative of HEX, because nobody else who I'm aware of, I mean, except for developers and stuff, are paid. Right. So I think that would be interesting to see kind of what his thoughts are on the potential for that partnership. And then also anyone from Dash, what are their thoughts? Because, ultimately these projects are decentralized and it's up to the communities, but I don't know specifically how Dash community is, because I just haven't spent a lot of time in terms of like how receptive they are to what leadership says or thinks, or how important that is to them. But I do know that within the HEX community, if Richard doesn't approve of something, other people won't.
Right. Well, this is the thing. Like with all these contracts, all these places, all these projects that are out there, HEX is a finished project. Dash is open source. Anybody can take those things and make anything that they want. Like for a big example that I can think of in HEX is the StakerApp, right? I don't think Richard had anything to do with the StakerApp. It's just a bunch of developers that decided to make this app, and then there it is, right? So this is something similar. Like I'm not proposing anything official in any way between HEX and Dash. This is just like if anybody from the Dash community wants to help, if anybody from the HEX community wants to help, they can create this thing that voluntarily, if we want to take advantage of it, we can. It doesn't have to be, say, an official HEX project or an official Dash project. It's just something that exists if people want to take advantage of it. And that's more of what I want to do, because I know that Dash is not going to want to say, okay, this is an official partnership. And I'm sure Richard's not going to want to say this is an official partnership either. I'm just not trying for that. I'm just trying for the community-based thing. But in answer to your question, Richard was asked on a live stream one time what he thought about it. And he said, well, if it helps Hexicans and if it's good for the HEX community, then he's all for it, because he knows what Dash is trying to come up with. Mm-hmm. So what exactly, I missed the one where you were talking to Joel Valenzuela. Like, what were you guys talking about in that interview?
Oh, we were really just doing the news for, the weekend before. So I think that it was last Thursday that it had to have been.
Probably a Friday. He's usually on Fridays.
Okay, so it wasn't Friday, just before this weekend. It was the previous Friday, and we were just kind of going through the news.
Cool. Yeah, so you know like a general bit about Dash. You said you went to the meetups, or would that have been around 2017 or like 2016?
Late 2017 or early 2017, late 2016. Like I said, it was before Evan left. At ASU. So that was a while ago. I think Ryan was new to the project, and so was Amanda, actually.
Okay. Yeah, we've seen a lot of people come and go through the years. Like Evan was obviously he was amazing. He's like the guy behind it all, who started everything with privacy and with instant payments and everything else. And then I think he ran into some hard times, so I think that's why we don't see him anymore. But he's definitely gets some kudos for starting the Dash project. And now we've got a lot of people in Dash that are very creative and very technical, and that are doing a lot of good things right now. Well, as you know, Dash has instant payments, it has optional privacy, and it has a DAO that actually powers the whole thing and gets everything going. We don't have any kind of corporate-backed sponsorship. We use some of the block reward to pay for our finances, to pay for our development and everything. Mm-hmm. So that's why all this stuff is possible. And there's so much stuff to go on about with Dash, but I just want to concentrate right now on the payment aspect. So actually right now, Dash is one of the best payment experiences that you can have. And it's going to get even better, because what is crypto missing? It's missing like accessibility, and it's missing ease of use, right? You can use this, but you got to be kind of nerdy to know what's going on. It's kind of hard for the grandparents or people that aren't very technically minded. So right now we actually have an alpha and testnet of the new Dash platform, and it has a Dash Pay wallet where it shows up kind of like a Venmo or a PayPal, where you have like a contact list. and then you can send money to people. Like if I have NrdGrl, I can send to NrdGrl, and that's some long cryptographic address. And the thing is it's also kind of private too, because it'll use a different address every time. All these addresses are going to be associated with your name. So every time I send you a payment, it'll go to a different address, but it will show up in your account, in your name.
Well, I definitely like that. I do not like it. So I've had this thing where I didn't want to put my address up because I'm like, but someone was in the community is like, hey, you need to do a thing to raise money so that you can get this. And if you just, post an address. So I didn't want to post an address. I posted a Cointree link, but then people didn't want to use the Cointree link because they thought that was supporting an exchange, because there is like a Cointree exchange. So, but I could. So then somebody ended up saying, hey, I made an address, and then posting a fake ad, making a fake Twitter account that looked like mine, posting an address, and then people sent funds to that address, and I didn't get any of them. Okay. And so that's cool. I don't. Yeah,
so you can, if you wouldn't have that situation anymore. Like this is what we're trying to do. Like Dash is so small right now. The opportunity in Dash is just amazing because we have a product that works. We're kind of gate-capped in some ways too, like HEX is, because when we try to post on our cryptocurrency or any of those big forums, we get downvoted to oblivion for no reason. People say, oh, Dash is a scam, Dash is this, but you go into the community and see what they're building. Like they're building like a decentralized Twitter to go on top of the Dash platform. They're building the Dash Pay wallet, like I said, where you can access your funds anywhere. And like if you post, like say, okay, this is my Dash platform address, this is my Dash Pay address, you can just put NrdGrl, and I can send to NrdGrl. You don't know who it's coming from, you don't know what address it came from, and I don't know what address it's going to. I just know it's going to your account. So this is something that you could do that would be easy to use, right? And this is something that we haven't seen in crypto. And when it actually gets released, because right now it's on testnet, when it actually gets released, it's going to change the game. And we just have to get it out there. That's the problem. And that's why I want to join with the Hexicans too, because the Hexicans are like dogs. Like I told Kinetics this last time I was talking to him. I said, you guys are out there constantly promoting. And this is something that we need with Dash. So if I can get Hexicans interested in Dash and Dash interested in Hex, I think we can do good damage with our two communities.
What kind of response are you getting when you propose that to the Dash community?
Yeah, they're actually pretty much for it too, because like they respect any kind of new integration, right? Like I'm sure they don't want to make it a priority, but they say if you guys do it and you guys have to give us that option, we'll for sure use it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of places out there that you can use to save your money. But I don't think anything is good as HEX right now. But I think there's a lot of places out there you can save. But there's precious little that actually give you that kind of smooth, instant payment with accessibility and ease of use. Dash is going to be the whole platform that way.
All right, cool. Well, yeah. So have you gotten any developers interested yet?
Yeah, that's why I say, like Kinetics, actually, he's going to make me sign an NDA because he said, I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly how it'll work. But like I told you, like you're the same as me. We're not developers. I don't know how to make it work. So I'm just trying to do the PR angle and promote it that way. And whoever comes in, comes in. So that what do you think about, like, would you use that? Like, would you save in HEX and then spend with Dash if you could spend it anywhere you wanted to and less than a penny fees?
Yeah, that would be really cool if I could do that instead of, having to convert money to fiat and then move it to, where I need it to go.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? Like I said, we have the Dash Pay Alpha right now on testnet, so anybody can sign up. So I'll send you the link later. You can sign up and play around with it and get some free test Dash, and just send it to anybody. It's really fun. And I think the hexologist, I don't know if it's him, but there's a hexologist right now on the Dash Pay Alpha program. So I just sent him a tweet here before we came on. And I said, is this you? He hasn't answered me yet. I don't know if it is him, but it's fun that you can just say, okay, I'm the hexologist. I'm going to send to other people. So I posted the link there. If any Hexicans that are watching this, they might want to join the Dash Pay Alpha. There's going to be a link in the description below. So is there anything else that you wanted to say, NrdGrl, before we let you go? It was great having an interview with you.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask you something, because I've heard you say it before, but then I've never actually heard you propose what your plan is. So I've heard you say before that you have some suggestions for HEX marketing.
So basically what my style is online is when I'm running into trolls that say Hex is a scam or whatever, or Dash is a scam, I don't try to take my time to debate them, because my time is precious. I don't need to debate them. Their mind is generally made up already, right? So all I do is I leave one nugget of positive thing about that proposal or about that project, whichever project it is, and then I leave it at that. He might reply to me, but I won't reply to him after that. But what that does is, if anybody's watching that, if anybody's like lurkers that are out there just watching that, you're leaving that one nugget of positivity, and then you're just saying, okay, I'm not going to debate this guy anymore. So that tells the person that's okay, this probably is something I want to look into. So they will go and look into it. I've actually talked to people that have had that in the past, where they see somebody arguing with somebody. I think you're an example, right? Like you saw somebody, like you saw these people that are putting Hex down like crazy, and you wanted to go and investigate it, right? And what did you find? That it was actually legit. And this is something, I don't waste my time. I want to just spread the positivity, and I'm just going to do that, and then that's it. So that's what I told Silver, right? And I think that's a good idea, because when you just fall down that rabbit hole and start debating and debating and debating, the troll just wears you down, you know? What's the point of that? You know, I think your time was better spent in doing more productive things.
Yeah, no, I mean, I for sure think that Hexagons, you know, I think sometimes it goes a little bit too far, and then I think that there are a lot of emotions tied into it now. Like I've said before, these, like, you know, these are not uncommon behaviors in groups that have been under attack for long periods of time, and Hex has definitely been like unjustly attacked and unfairly criticized, and, you know, all of that stuff. So it's like, it's completely normal and understandable. But yeah, I mean, I do think sometimes it is a little aggressive. At the same time, look at the kind of growth and conversion that they've achieved using those tactics for the last year. Yeah. So the question is, like, does it make sense to ease up on things a little bit now? Or if they want to see the continued, you know, conversion, do they need to stay vigilant like that? And I don't
yeah, I think you're always going to have two different styles. I'm not going to convince everybody here. Like I'm myself. Somebody else is not like me. I get it. You know, like they want to jump in there and attack and do that. That's what they want to do. That's how they use their time. But for me, I'm more of a creator, and I don't want to spend too much time debating trolls online. I did before, and I've learned that for me, it doesn't work. It just burns me out. But I'm sure there's room for both ways, I think. But if you're finding that you're like me and you're struggling with debating trolls all the time, you could probably use my tactics.
Oh yeah, I'm more or less don't debate people very often. You're right. Most people have their minds made up. I will like answer questions and talk to people who seem like they're actually curious. But for the most part, when people are just like, you know, I hate Hex, it's 100% a scam, and anyone who ever supports it is this, you know, is a scammer, then I'm like, okay. You know, like, all right.
Well, there's that universal have fun being poor. Yeah. Everybody says that, and that's kind of sad, because we don't want anyone to be poor. We want everyone to make money, but you know, whatever, you know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, I'm always like, you're free to do whatever you want with your money. That's kind of the beauty of it, is that like, I don't have any control over your money, and I'm not going to get upset over what you choose to do with it. And you don't have any control over mine. And there's no reason for anybody to get upset over what I do with it, you know?
Do you have any future plans of anything that you're going to contribute to Hex or anything, or maybe even Dash?
I have nothing against, you know, working with various communities and brands. I had an idea. I want to make like an ASMR video. I mean, because I sometimes make those short, you know, 1-word ASMR crypto word of the day videos. But what I would like to do is to create this one that's like different shaped foods, because I just watched with my daughter and they get so many views that it's crazy. But I need to find the right like shapes of things, and I haven't found I haven't figured out a way to do it and be humorous and, you know, myself just yet, but I'm working on that. Contributions to the Hex community. Specifically, I am doing or working on, I've been commissioned to work on this kind of like video of why myself and my neighbor, who's also a mom, what it is about HEX that we find appealing as opposed to some other cryptocurrencies. So yeah, I'm working on that. What else can I contribute? I try to contribute across the board. I try to like make observations that are true, not just in one community, but can kind of apply throughout, because I think, across understanding, I think the doors of communication belong open. I think I've said that before. So usually when I write something about one group, you could take it theoretically and apply it to others. And then also I try for it to have some kind of appeal to people who aren't already crypto nerds. I usually try to tie things to something that doesn't have very much to do with cryptocurrency to make it like entertaining. The XRPQ article that I wrote was pretty well received. And obviously that was, I think, making things that are not obviously and directly related is important for growth.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. I'm happy to have you on the show. It's great to talk about crypto tribalism and our lack of it. And you might be cutting yourself off from opportunities if you don't see. So if you're watching this now, if you've never been on my channel before, don't forget to like, subscribe. And then if you want to check out HEX, there are going to be links at the description below. If you want to check out Dash, there'll be links in the description below, including the awesome Dash Pay Alpha you can get involved with and see the future of payments. So Nicole, if you want, you can show yourself. How can we get a hold of you?
All right, yeah. So I'm NrdGrl007 with no vowels on Twitter, Telegram, Instagram. Let's see what decentralized at Publish 0x. Yeah.
All right. So thanks for coming on the show. We'll have to have you on again sometime when we see what's going on with this HEX and Dash thing, and we'll have to talk about cryptocurrency in general again. It was great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers. So that was my interesting interview with NrdGrl007. I hope you enjoyed it and understand the benefits of keeping an open mind in this industry and learning from others. Well, that's it for me today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and click the bell if you want to see more from me and Cash Alternative TV episodes. Until next time, remember, Dash is a digital alternative to cash, and it's becoming more so every day. Bye for now.